Latin class, Capitulum duodecim Miles Romanus pars secunda et tertia. And actually, I think we finished pars secunda last time. So we may just start off with third part. But with that, oratio initialis. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. All right. So, I thought we, for those that were not here last time, we covered the second section, which of course mentions well, essentially Emilia's brother, Emilius, is a Roman soldier and he's off fighting the Germans. And we got a little bit of history discussed. I thought I would mention why why the Germans. The Germans and the Romans frequently locked horns. And then Maria and Maria. Maria is the mother of God. Maria are the seas on the moon. Same word, same form. The difference is where the accents go. So anyway, Bella cum Germanus, Germanis, war with the Germans. If you're really interested, then the Wikipedia has a extensive list of Roman wars and battles. It is a very long list. But what's relevant to this lesson is the conflicts with the Germanic and the Celtic people. And there were several that really pushed into Roman-controlled territory. And those were often seen as threats to Rome itself. So there's the big one were the migrations of the, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, Cimbri. If it were Latin, it'd be
Chimbri?
Cimbri. I'm sorry, what, Laura?
Chimbri?
Cimbri, yeah. I should have looked at, I don't know the origins of that word. Anyway, it's like they were a Celtic Germanic people, possibly from Denmark, which back then was known as Jutland. And in the second century, they kind of migrated through Gaul and adjacent territories, and really part of that was the crop failures that pushed them into other lands, which then pushed other tribes, and it just,
Yeah,
domino.
where they came from, the ocean levels raised just enough to make the land have too much salt in it in order to grow crops. So they migrated.
Yeah. And so there were a couple of well-known battles. This was in the second century BC. And anyway, the thing that keep in mind is in the Battle of Noreia, the Roman forces were defeated. And then in 107, the Battle of Bertigala, they were again defeated. And then the Battle of Orazio, which was total disaster, they got trashed. So
They did it to themselves.
yeah, well, they did it. Yeah, it didn't. They should get half credit for doing it themselves. I agree. So anyway, finally, it wasn't until around 102 in the Battle of Aquae Sextiae that Gaius Marius defeated the Teutons. And then in 103, Sulla, he managed to persuade some. Now, the other thing I should emphasize, not all the Germans' tribes were hostile to Rome. There were some that were friendly to Rome. And in particular, Sulla persuaded the Marsi tribe to become friends and allies. And then the big one is the Battle of Vercellae, where the Romans under Gaius Marius defeated the Cimbri, and they were basically entirely annihilated. Um, so the Battle of Orazio, that's Orazio there, kind of in France. So you can see they've you know they started up here in Denmark and have traveled down all the way into southern France. There's only a hop, skip, and a jump from Italy. And as my wife said, they did it themselves. Um, the What happened was is there were two Roman armies. One was commanded by the proconsul Quintus Servilius Caepio, and a proconsul. You may not know, be aware of how the structure of the republic government. They're not an empire yet; they're a republic. And then the consul Gnaeus Mallius Maximus. Proconsul, the consul is the main consul, consul, not console, consul. He's like the president, and then the proconsul is like the vice president. Um, and the problem is Caepio was a patrician. So he was he was the what do you want to call him? The one percenter, so to speak. And Gnaeus Mallius Maximus was a new man. If you don't recognize the term, that means somebody who came into wealth and power late, did not come from a traditional
Yeah, it
line
basically meant a new man was anyone who did not have a consul in his history.
in his history. Yeah,
No one in his family had ever been consul, so he's the new man,
right.
someone who did.
And so Caepio did not accept the orders of Mallius, since Caepio was a patrician and Mallius was not, even though Mallius outranked him. So what happened is the two Roman armies were divided, and the much larger Cimbri just overwhelmed them. I mean, as a result, the Romans lost about 120,000 soldiers, the entirety of both of those armies of the two, and it was the worst loss since the Punic Wars, which were with Carthage. So it was a major disaster, and it created quite a bit of political upheaval.
I'm assuming heads rolled other than the soldiers.
Yes, they did. Yes. Now, finally, this is the battle of Vercellae, which is actually in Italy. You know, you can see that the Cimbri actually made it into the Italian uh, the traditional part of Italy. It was fought on June 30th, 101 BC, and the big thing is that in 113 they had invaded Noricum, which is present day Austria and Slovenia. So the Cimbri were pressing Italy on all sides, and so it was quite the Romans were quite alarmed. Uh, so Marius, uh, who is the leader in senior rank, and Catullus stationed their army in a defensible position near the River Po. If you know your Italian geography, it's roughly that river there, if I remember correctly, big river through Italy. And the battle was engaged, and the Cimbri were wiped out, even though they were a much larger force. So really what it was is Roman military discipline and Marius's superior strategic strategy that defeated the much larger forces. So the Romans had between 52,000 and 54,000 legionnaires and auxiliaries, which is about 10 legions, maybe 11 legions, versus the 120,000 to 180,000 Cimbri with 400,000 civilians. So Marius claimed to have killed 100,000 warriors, and he captured and enslaving many other thousands, including large numbers of women and children. And they were basically all sold as slaves. Yeah, it was quite a, you know, you talk about the like you know, victory. Oh shoot, what's the yeah, VE Day, Victory in Europe Day, where people went out and just celebrated big time. The Romans just were really, 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 really happy. What is interesting, though, is the news of the victory was carried to Rome from the battlefield by Marius's brother-in-law, one Gaius Julius Caesar. Where have we heard that name? Now, keep in mind that is not the Julius Caesar of Veni Vidi Vici, but rather his father. So that put them, that really say, had they lost that, then we wouldn't be here taking Latin, probably.
Now,
Um,
I have a question.
sure.
Looking at the numbers that they had on each fighting side, do you think part of the battle, the reason the battle was won, was that the Romans were able to move faster because they had fewer people they had to move around? Because you're talking about a 500,000 people.
No, 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 no,
No,
that isn't why. It was really the um, best thing to do would be to look that up in like the
It
Wikipedia.
it was the discipline and logistics.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were very highly trained, and their opponents basically attacked in giant hordes. They didn't care whether they were running uphill. In other words, the terrain, studying the terrain and
yeah.
choosing the best place for the battle. They
they
didn't do. They just
they were
met their
not wartime
enemies.
tacticians. They were just
Yes, that's right.
schoolyard bullies. Okay.
Yeah, the Marius picked the high ground intentionally. And so as the Cimbri charged up the hill, well, guess what, folks? That's harder. And so they were able to take advantage of that. So that's why I said by the Marius's superior strategy
He also
and the
managed to
discipline of the
put
Roman
off
army.
He also Marius managed to put off the attack until afternoon, which meant the sun
Oh
was in the
yeah.
eyes of their opponents.
Yeah, they were standing facing they were facing east, but their opponents were facing west. See, that was another tactic. Long, long list of things that he did in order to tilt the advantage to him. As I said, you can look that up on the Wikipedia, and it'll give you a summary of that. So, but also it wasn't just the Cimbri. There were also the Helvetii, which were Swiss. Um, in particular, they pestered Rome on and off for in that first century. In June, there was the Battle of Arar. Caesar managed to defeat the migrating Helvetii. Then he did it again in July, and then the big one. Um, yeah, this was the Battle of I'm not sure how that's pronounced in English. Anyway, Caesar, and this is Julius Caesar, the Julius Caesar. He defeated the forces of the Germanic chieftain uh, Aravo Aravistus near modern Belfort. So, again, these guys were invading Roman land. I mean, usually it was the other way around. The Romans were invading somebody else. But anyway, they had a good reason to have a certain amount of paranoia about German tribes that were not friends with Rome. As I said, some were, some were. Um, good videos to watch. Pop these up when you get a moment. We're not going to go through them tonight, but this discusses why the Roman legionaries' equipment was very good. This shows you the size of a legion, which is, even by modern standards, is rather impressive. And then Teresa sent me this link, which is a scene from Risen, example of Roman military tactics. That's a very good video. I mean, that they did a good job of showing how the Romans did stuff. And if you want a little fun, okay, then here's a Roman legionary. gives gives a speech on the Roman triumph at the Living Latin Conference in New York. So when you get a chance, you know, watch
Is
him.
that the one where he talks about the military equipment, the armor and stuff? I
No,
thought that
this
was the
one
link I
here.
sent you. Yeah.
No, this one here is. Oh yeah, yeah. This one here is by Scorpio Martinez.
Okay, is that the link I sent you? It's supposed to be the one about the pieces of the armor and why one was better than the other. And he gave a
No,
whole speech on the armor and the military stuff.
I thought that was the link you sent me.
Okay, that's what I thought I sent you. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, the other question that came up was Maria et Maria. Yes, they are spelled identical. Maria Mater Jesu est. So the important thing is that I is long, and since that is the second syllable, it is stressed. Maria corpora aquae sunt. Maria are bodies of water. The I is short, and therefore the A is stressed. So Maria, we know who she is. Oh, Alex made it. Maria, those are those dark spots on the moon. So with that, I think we covered everything from last time. I believe we got all the way to the bottom of the to the section 3. Is that right? Anybody remember?
I don't remember.
Well, we'll start up here. No. Uh, no, actually, I think we got to section 3. So, Julia, ubi habitat Emilius? Emilius is the brother, frater, Emiliae.
Hey, Michael, I'm thinking now that I'm looking at it, I don't think we got, I think we stopped at the beginning of the second section.
Uh, well, let me go back. I've personally read this so many times that I don't remember. I hate to say it.
Because I think you said we're going to do 2 and 3, and I remember thinking that was right. So I think we finished
Let's
section
see.
1 and then stopped.
Whoops, did I? Well, I do recall we talked about the soldiers in Germany. Well, we'll start there. Why don't we start there since not everybody was here last week? Anyway, just to summarize, Emilie est unus frater cui Emilius nomen est. Praenomen Publius, cognomen Paulus. So Publius Emilius Paulus, frater Emiliae est avunculus liberorum. So anyway, on the second section, Julia, quid agunt milites Romani in Germania? Milites nostri in Germania pugnant. Julia, mei quoque fratres pugnant. Yeah, actually, I remember reading this. Julius, pueri pugnus non armus pugnant, milites pugnant gladiis pilis hastis. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we read that last time. Anyway, let's see. How about I toss this over to who wants to volunteer to read it?
I can do that.
Sure, go ahead.
Marcus, num Emilius, I'm sorry, I had to get closer to read a little bit better. Num Emilius et hastum et pilum fert.
Yeah,
Thank you.
bigger.
Yeah. Sucks when you get old. Okay. Iulius. Emilius pilum tantum fert. Is einem peres est non equus. Equus est miles qui equo pugnat. Qui pedibus pugnat peres est. Equitus hastus pedit Pedites pila ferunt. How's the accent on that word, pedites? Is it pedites or
Hey,
pedites?
it's on the E. Pedites. The
Pedites.
I is not long, so the accent goes on to the um, third syllable
Okay.
from the end.
Equites hastas pedites pila ferunt. Pilum non tam longum es quam hasta. Neque gladius peditis tam longus es quam gladius equitis. Pilum emilie sex pedes longum est.
Yeah. All right. For those that weren't here, a Roman foot is a little bit shorter than our standard foot. We have about 30 centimeters in ours. Roman foot is 29.6 centimeters, just a little bit shorter. And to review from last time, pace is foot. So foot soldier is, or plural is pedites. In fact, let me tell you what, give me just a second to snag last time. There we go. Let's see, is that being shared? Oh, it's not being shared, is it? All right, let me fix that. Share. Let's add this and this. And what's going on here? Oops. All right, hold on. Share. Oh, desktop. That's what the problem is. Keynote there. All right, hold on. They changed. Oops. I think I just unshared the work. Oh, well, anyway. Yeah, so pace, foot, pedes, peditis is the foot soldier. We have the gladius, which is the sword, scutum, which is the shield, the pilum, which is the spear. And these were relatively lightweight for the foot soldier. And then we also have the equus, or what is the plural of pedes? Oh, peditus. Pedes, peditus. Oh, plural. Sorry, pedites. I'm sorry. Yeah, now you're talking about the foot soldier, right, Laura? Yeah, okay. Sorry, you're right. Plural, we changed that IS to an ES. We finally hit the third declension. And likewise, equus is a horse. So the eques is the horseman or rider. Their weapons tended to be larger and heavier because they were on horseback. And I think we'll just leave it at that for the moment. And I believe, let's see, no, I have to redo the share. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. We're going to do that one and that one, that one, and that one, and that one. And there we go. Let me get that back. There. Any questions on that section that Teresa read? Any questions on meaning, grammar, whatever? Okay. Next section. In the volunteers.
I'll do it.
We'll go all the way down to here, okay? There.
Ooh, okay.
That's short stuff. Go ahead.
Marcus, quam longus es gladius eius, Julius, duos pedes longus est. Marcus, duos pedes tantum, cor tam brevis est gladius. Julius, quod gladius brevis non tam gravis est quam gladius longus. Gladius equitis longior et gravior est quam peditis. Pedes qui pedibus multaque elia arma fert?
Mhm.
Gladium longum et gravum fere non potest, itaque gladius eius brevis et levis est. Brevior et levior quam is, qui ab equite fertur. Itam gladi qui a Germanis feruntur longiores et graviores sunt quam Romanorum, ac pila eorum longiora et graviora quam nostra sunt.
Very good.
That was hard.
Was. How did you say that word?
Etium?
Okay. It sounded like you said atium.
Oh, sorry.
You may, or well, and it may have been the audio. So,
Hey,
yeah,
Michael, I have a quick question.
sure.
I watched that video about, how big a legion was, and they talked about the slaves, and I didn't think about the livestock, having to take the lives. I guess
Yep.
that's their, I was told them that's their meals ready to eat.
Yeah.
um, but I'm thinking the swords and everything. Did they also carry along tradesmen like the people to forge new swords or repair swords and stuff too? That would be
Those would
another thing that
those
they would
would
have
have
to
been part of
carry.
the engineers.
Oh, okay, the engineer. Okay, that's right. That would fit in there. Okay, all right. Thanks.
Yeah. And they would have also had spare swords and spears carried along in the baggage as well,
That
in
makes
case of
sense.
loss or damage. So,
Okay.
yeah, anybody who's going on a family vacation really ought to see some of those Roman Legion videos of how the entire legion operated and realize that family vacations are nothing compared to what they did. So anyway, yeah. So as he says here, the shorter swords for the men on foot, and he said about 2 feet, and it wasn't, and that's not even quite our feet. That made them very useful in close combat. And the gladius was for stabbing, not so much slicing. And then, of course, the horseman, well, if you have a short sword, you might stab yourself. You might stab the horse. That'd be about all you can stab. So they carried a longer sword and a longer spear. Now we finally get to the infamous Germani. Any volunteers?
I can volunteer for part of it.
Can you read it okay?
I can read it. I when I sent you that email, I had no internet. I was unable to connect with the Wi-Fi of the hotel on my computer, so I was going to have to do it by the phone. And then I had trouble with my phone, so I tried again with my computer, and I was able to do it. So I can read.
Oh, okay. Go right ahead.
So you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead and
Okay,
start.
Julia. Okay, Julia, qui sunt Germani? Julius Germani sunt homines barbari qui Germanium incolunt. Germania est magna terra non procul a Gallia. Gallia autem provincia Romana est, ut Hispania, Syria, Egyptus. Provincia est pars imperii Romani ut membrum pars corporis est. Roma enim caput imperii est, provinciae membra sunt. Germania non est provincia Romana, flumen Rhenus Germanium a Gallia provincia dividit. Rhenus ac Danuvius flumina quae Germanium ab imperio Romano dividunt. fines imperii nostri sunt, Germania est patria Germaniorum, ut Roma nostra patria est. You want me to continue, or is that?
No, that's good enough for the moment. Any questions there? I like
I
that.
had a little trouble after the first few. So, who are the Germans? The Germans are barbarian men who inhabit Germany.
Germany,
Germany is,
right?
yeah. I want to say Germany, but Germany, right? Germany is a
Yeah,
large.
that's it.
It just grows on
Sometimes
you.
when you're flipping between Latin and English and it's the
I
same,
know.
it gets all tangled up in the
Yeah, I know that. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna have this conversation with someone who's from Germany. I'm going to refer to it as Germania. Okay, Germania is a large land not far from Gaul. Gaul also is a province of Rome, and Hispania, Syria, Egypt. Um, let's
Yeah.
see.
Let me stop you there.
Okay,
Yes, actually, Gallia is a Roman province, not a province of Rome. Minor,
okay,
same meaning though.
yeah.
Same.
Sorry, and Hispania, Syria, Egypt.
Well, not and. Well, okay. I would translate the ut in this case like
Like, okay,
as your choice. Anyway, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was getting mixed or ut mixed up with ak.
Well,
Okay,
ut is an all-purpose conjugation. We haven't really quite fully explored it yet, but anyway, go on.
okay, and so a province is part of imperial Rome, like the like the arm is part of the body. Is that
Yeah, well, membrum just means a member. So
okay?
we have two arms and two legs, or four
Right.
members.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't hear it used that way very much anymore. But yeah, membrum is means member, as in a member of the body, appendage, whatever. So anyway, what I was going to ask is if there are any other questions. Germania est patria Germanorum, ut Roma nostra patria est. Patria is fatherland.
I see.
Kind of interesting that the Romans had fatherlands, the Germans had fatherlands, but other countries had motherlands.
That they're introducing us to similes in this.
Yes. Yeah.
How come some had fatherlands and others motherlands?
Yeah, that's what I said.
But like, why? Are
Germany had fatherland and Rome had fatherland, and some other countries had motherland.
What
Why
were
one
some
of
of
the
those other countries?
I'm sorry, what?
What were some of those countries?
I
Oh,
remember having this discussion last week. See, Russia has
Sorry, I
motherland.
wasn't there.
Yeah, Russia's a motherland,
yeah.
and I don't know, maybe Britain.
I forget whether Britain was a motherland. I think France was a motherland, if I remember correctly. But anyway, I honestly, I'm sure it's cultural, but as to which way each went, I don't know. But just keep in mind, pater, patria, fatherland. I don't think there is a matria. Well, that's a good question. Is there a Matria? Nope. So we'll look up for, let's see, motherland, Moth. Motherhood, mother-in-law, mother of pearl. Nope, no motherland. And I think that's two words anyway, or is it one word? Well, let's see, fatherland.
I thought it would be one.
Whoops, it'd be nice if I can get the L in there. Uh, oh, that's interesting.
What if you just look up Patria
Yeah,
and see what it gives?
I'm sure it gives fatherland. but I'm surprised the English doesn't have it. Patria, patria. Oh, that was terribly helpful. All right. Oh, okay. Of or belonging to a father. Yeah. So if you work down, you'll find. And
Oh, yeah, there it is towards the bottom.
yeah, and it's in what is the is it the Salutaris Hostia? Fer exilium uni tronoquas
Yes.
sit sempiterna gloria. Yes. So you've already seen that word, hopefully.
What is it matrius is the adjectival form?
Oh, for
I'm just
mother?
curious. Yeah,
Yes. Matri. No, actually, I think it is. Well, let me look here. Let's see, matricalis, of or belonging to the womb. Is that
but
right?
could you get it? Could you do the same with this
Let's
that
do
you did
that.
with
You want,
patria?
what do you want? What do you want? Woman or
What I'm trying to do is, since you did patrius and that's how you got to patria. I was trying to get you, if you use the adjective form of mother,
hmm.
and then
Well, matercula is a little mother. Materia is no. Hmm. That's a good question. Actually, I wonder if it's mulier. The other word for woman is mulier. There we go. Mulier, can't say that tonight. Mulieratus. Here, let me copy and drop that in. Here we go, everyone.
Oh, it
There.
looks like it's even longer.
Yeah, that's probably why nobody's used it. Mulierarius. Yeah, there we go.
mhm.
That would be the
Okay,
equivalent.
so they don't have, yeah, there's
No,
no.
Latin does not have a motherland word at all. The patrius me. Okay, now, well, all right. Now that we've gone off totally on a tangent, but okay, we'll continue on that. Patrius, um, of or belonging to a father. Uh, were you going to say? Okay, I didn't hear that. Let's see here. Where is the word paternally? But also, you'll see the male line of the ancestors. In fact, let me jump back to the oh, where did I put it? Did I put it in this one? Oh no, I didn't. Okay, next time I will remember to do a genealogy, so to speak, meaning the various terms for mother, father. They distinguish between the paternal line and the maternal line. So we'll save that for next time. Anyway, any questions on the section we covered so far? I really do want to get through this chapter. Okay. So Yulia, who's next?
I could do it again.
Well, Laura is awfully quiet.
Oh, I'll be
Oh
quiet.
man, fine, I'll bite. Okay. Okay, we're on that line.
Yeah.
Okay. Julia. Cur milites Romani contra Germanos pugnat? Sunt ne Germani homines improbi? Julius. Milites nostri contra Germanos pugnat, quod Germani amici Romanorum non sunt, nec Romanis parent, Germani hostes Romanorum sunt, ac bellum est inter Germanos et Romanus. Germani exercitum nostrum oppugnant.
Yeah, and you basically just described how many centuries of history.
Hey, Michael, parent. I
Pardon?
keep thinking that the Necromani's parent. I'm drawing a mental blank on parent. I'm thinking it was to
Uh,
place something, but that doesn't sound
okay.
right.
Um, parere or imperare,
I think it means to obey.
they do not obey.
Okay, that makes more sense of what it was going into my head.
Yeah.
It also means submit, I think.
Submit. Yeah, this one is an interest. This is another interesting. Let's see. Oh, good grief. I can't spell. Whoops. Sorry about that. Let me get the right. Come on. Back to Parent. All right. Let me.
Let's hope it doesn't say fatherland.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's there is it's this particular, yeah, first off, don't confuse it with paro, which means to make or get ready, to prepare, to furnish. Okay, I think we've had paro in past lessons. I don't recall where, but
It's parere,
pareo,
isn't it?
pardon,
Parere,
pardon.
the parere, P-A-R-E-R-E. Isn't it an E-R-E verb?
Oh, this one, yes.
Okay, I'm looking at my little dictionary in my hand, and it says with the dative to obey, submit to, or comply with.
Right there.
Okay, so you have to have
Yeah.
the dative with it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the two words are very close.
Yes.
Pareo and paro. Don't mix the two up because paro means to prepare, to provide. Pareo actually means to come forth, be visible, show oneself, but with the dative to obey, to be obedient, to submit to.
Well, is the paro that you were just referring to an A-R-E verb?
Yes, it's an
Okay. And
ARE
so that,
verb, and this one is an ERE verb.
right.
So let's see, where were we? Any
So
questions?
they're neither friends nor do they obey the Romans.
Correct. Yeah, because the Germani are not friends of the Romans, nor do they obey or submit to the Romans. Um, whatever you can, yeah, I mean, the Romans were not always the nicest people in the world, let me put it that way.
Is that
But
right?
yeah, but if you they generally left you alone as long as you paid your taxes on time
Well,
and
and
caused too much
sometimes got
trouble.
inducted into the military, right?
Pardon?
And sometimes had to do military service, even if
Not initially. You had to be a Roman citizen to be in the military, to actually be in the Roman army.
but the
Now they
Germans at
have,
one point did serve and they weren't given citizenship.
well, okay, hold on. Oh, you're talking about the auxiliaires. They
Yes.
would hire auxiliaires, which are sort of like mercenaries, kind of.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, you're actually 2 centuries ahead of where we are at the moment.
Oh, excuse me.
So,
Don't rush us, Alex. I'm having a hard enough time keeping up as it is.
yeah.
Okay.
And keep in mind that they were never Roman soldiers. They were auxiliaries and fought as an ally of Rome. And yes, you're right. Commodus broke some, I believe it was Commodus, broke some serious promises, which didn't go well. Julia, quid est exercitus? Oh yes, Germani exercitum nostrum oppugnant. The Germans battle our
or attacked
or attack.
our
But
army?
exercitum or exercitus, which is we're now picking up
Our
the
army.
fourth declension words. Yes, our armies or army. So Julius, what do we got here? Let's see here. I'll tell you what, I'll do the short one here. Julius exercitus est manius numerus militum qui contra hostes ducitur. Qui exercitum ducit dux exercitus est. Dux exercitui imperat, exercitus duci suo paret. Nam dux op exercitu metuitur. Wow.
Now I have a question, Michael.
Sure.
When I was trying to translate this, what I came up with, and I assume I'm wrong, is that the that the general, which I guess is the Dukes or
Duke. Yeah,
whatever
Dukes.
the leader is.
Sorry, Dukes, short U. Excuse me.
Okay, that the leader is afraid. Well, that's what it looks
No,
like.
no, that's a passive voice.
Yeah, no, that's a passive voice. All right, here we go. Let's do the easier parts.
All right.
Exercitus est manius numerus militum. An army is a large number of soldiers. Qui contra hostes ducitur. Who is led, again, this is singular, against the enemy. Qui exercitum ducit. Dux exercitus est. He or who
He who no he
leads,
who
or he who, yeah.
he who
He who leads the army is the leader of the army. And notice here that the genitive form of that fourth conjugation is with a long U. So exercitus, exercitus. I'm probably mangling it tonight.
in
So anyway,
Italiano il duce.
yes, actually, yes. And we get the word Duke and a whole bunch of other words in English. But Dux would be the leader, okay? If you go back and bring it up in Scriba, you'll find leader, conductor, guide, if you're military, commander, general in chief, if you want, head honcho, you know. Anyway, the leader orders the army.
Oh, I see now. He
The
is feared.
army
I see.
obeys its leader,
Yeah.
for
The
the leader
is feared.
is feared
Right.
by the army.
Okay.
Sorry, is that, wait, Mituitu? Yeah, feared? That's not
Yeah,
right.
by the army.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
okay. It is feared. Okay. I wouldn't have chosen that word, but all right.
Yeah, I forgot that it was passive.
Yes. Yeah, that as I hadn't, it's been a while since I read that section. And when I got done, I go, oh, wow, all kinds of little dative, passive.
I kept saying that just can't be right.
Yes. Well, you're right. It wasn't. It
It would be
wasn't.
some weak leader. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next section.
And they use that verb again in the next sentence, or the second to the next sentence.
Uh,
With the military, milites et duces exercitum Romanorum ad hostibus, and then metu untur.
Yes.
Again,
Yep.
so that's the plural, passive plural, right? Third person.
Yep.
They are feared.
Yep. So who wants to take the next section?
I'll do it.
Go for it.
In Germania et in Britannia sunt magni exercitus Romani qui contra sorry, it's hard to say.
Yes, it's a chi. Yeah.
Exercitus.
Exercitus. Yeah.
Exercitus.
Yeah,
Hostium.
we're being very Asian here. Yeah, you need to use your chi. Sorry.
Milites et
It's been a long
duces.
week. Sorry. Go ahead, Sophie. I'll shut up.
Milites et duces exercitum Romanorum ab hostibus meteuntur
Mhm.
in Hispania et in Gallia. Non multi sunt milites Romani. Nam Hispania et Galli, qui eas
Yes.
provincias inculunt. Iam? Is that how you say it?
Yum. Yeah.
Iam exertibus nostris ferent, in exertibus Romanis, itam Hispania et Galli multu militant, qui et alia arma et arcus sagittatque ferunt.
There we go. All right. Mouthful.
Oh yeah.
So the leader, the leader of the army and the of the Romans they're feared by the enemy.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And as it says in Spain and Gaul, there aren't many soldiers because Spain and Gaul oh wait a minute. For Hispania, Gaul, oh boy. Let me untangle that sentence. All right. In Spain and Gaul, there are not many Roman soldiers. For Hispani, Spanish dwellers, the Spanish and the Gauls
Who inhabit those provinces?
inhabit those provinces
Yeah.
obey or submit to our armies. So yeah, basically the Romans put their legions where they were needed. And certainly Spain at this time, this takes place roughly the first century. Spain at this time had been a Roman province, not all of it, but most of it had been a Roman province for some time. And then Gaul, of course, fell under Julius Caesar in around 50 BC, I think. So the major frontier at this first century is really in Britain and Germany. So, and I forget who's in the East.
I have a cultural question.
Sure.
Okay, so you have the Romans who are like Rome. Okay, they're from Italy, Italia, and then you have the provinces. Now they were all considered part of the Roman Empire, but did the Romans, the actual Italian Romans, look down upon the French and the Gaul because they lived? It
Oh, okay.
was like a social caste system.
Yeah. That evolved over time. The actual Roman citizens for many centuries were those that lived in Rome and had citizenship. Okay. The Italians were not Roman citizens. Okay. They had quite a few rights as being friends with Rome, but they were not the Roman citizens. I do not recall at what point the Italians were granted Roman citizenship, and the provinces were not granted Roman citizenship until quite late. I want to say third century AD.
So Roman citizenship was a very restricted type thing.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And certainly the Roman elite looked down on anyone who was not Roman. And indeed, even the elite were elitist among themselves. As I mentioned in that defeat at Arasio, what's his name? I think it was Chapio, looked down on the other guy whose name escaped, Malleus, I think that was his name, because Malleus was a new man, i.e., he had not been part of the political structure uh, in the past. Gaius Marius also was a new man, by the way. He had no family ancestors who had been consuls or important senators, and he actually worked his way up. As a result, he was resented by some of the, shall we call them the traditional hardliners. So no, it was a very, at least elitist system. Now we're in the first century, and I think most of Italy may have gotten citizenship by then. I'd have to go back and look at that. So,
So I could see where that would definitely cause some rifts in their social system and a lot of
well,
resentment.
um, not really. The only time it would show up is if you were a provincial and you were trying to worm your way into a like the Senate, for example, or some of the other political structure, power structures within Rome. Um, that really would be the only time that it would show up. So the Roman, you have to understand, Rome was a city. Okay, Rome was a city founded by escaped convicts. Um, Rome would give citizenship in the early years.
Wait a minute. What about
Like
Romulus?
Australia. Yeah. Romulus and
Yeah.
Remus.
Yeah,
My recollection is they weren't escaped convicts.
well, Romulus and Remus weren't. But what I
That
mean
was,
is Rome in the early years gave sanctuary to anybody who came knocking at their door, and they would gain Roman citizenship. Okay, keep in mind that what Rome was founded, what, 730 BC or something like that.
That was 753.
753. Thank you. That's right. And now we're here 800 years later. So things have certainly evolved over that time. I mean, even in American history, we've only been around for 200 plus years. Things have changed over time. So you got to be a little bit careful and say exactly what period you're speaking of. So um, anyway, oh, yes, there was, yeah, the Virgil's Aeneid had escaped Trojans, but I'll dig up the reference on the early Rome for next time, maybe. But let's get back to the text.
Thank you for
so
the cultural sidebar.
Yeah,
just one other question. So in that last sentence talking about the Hispani and Galli, what what's the name for the people that inhabit Spain or his
Hispani.
just Hispani?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, okay. Rome. The Romans, Romani. Hispania, Spain. Hispani. Gallia, well, the Gauls. Galli is the people. So the name of the country, in fact, Germania is Germany, and then the Germani are the is the
People,
people.
right,
So
inhabitants. Yeah.
yeah, so
Well, I just wondered if there was another name other than Hispania and Gali.
no, I'm resisting the word to use the word Hispanics, which is something which is
Well,
where
I
we
guess
get that, obviously.
you
Yeah,
could say Gauls, right?
yeah. So they would have been, yeah, they would have been Gauls, and the Spain the Hispani lived in Spain. I guess you
Okay.
could say Spaniards for that one would probably be the accurate translation of that. So
Okay.
ubi habitat Emilius. Finally, we're on section 3. Ubi habitat Emilius. Julius. Emilius in castris habitat mille passus a fine imperii. Castra sunt militum oppidum. Emilius lives in a camp 1,000 passus from the ends of the empire. So what is a passus? I thought they did. Oh, I thought they had a very nice definition.
Pace.
But bummer. Yeah, it's the
Paces.
pace, or it's about
1,000 pace.
a stride. Okay. So that would be well, not rough, well, maybe not quite a mile, but a passus is the length.
Like 3 feet, a yard.
Yeah, about a yard. Yeah, what your average stride
So
is.
that'd be like a little over half a mile.
3,000.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
3.
5,280 feet a mile, 3,000, um,
About
somewhere.
six tenths of a mile.
Yeah, something like that. And this was strides were a very useful measurement because, they didn't, sadly, Steve Jobs was not an ancient Roman and they didn't have nice iPhones or GPSs. So to say something was 1,000 paces was an easy way to measure distance. Okay. So uh, what this says is that Emilius is living pretty much on the border, and the camp is a city of soldiers. Which let me see if I can get to the next section, and we will have. Whoops, where is it? Where is it? Here we go. There we go. Yeah, this is a typical Roman camp of one of the legions, about 5,000, maybe 6,000, give or take, depending upon the support troops. And one of those links that I noted earlier in the notes will outline what that is. And what's kind of impressive is I forgot now how many acres this is. And
55 acres. I remember that.
yeah, it was
Pretty
uh
big.
yeah, well, and there was a ditch that was dug all the way around it. And they could put these up in a frighteningly short time. Let's see if they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. This is a good example. Is there'd be a ditch which would be filled with water, and then they would have the wall, the fort. And you can see that if your guy's over here, you are at a definite disadvantage to the guys that are behind the wall, higher than you, throwing the spears down. By the way, it is much easier to throw a spear downhill than it is uphill. And when it hits downhill, it hits with bigger force. So, as I said, these were quite, fossa is the ditch, valium is the wall. So anyway,
I watched that video. It was very impressive. And to think you can move without the technology we have today, you could move that many people and all that equipment and all of the clothes and all of the slaves and the donkey. I mean, it was amazing to think that you could move all of that efficiently over land. And then they were talking about the training of the soldiers, how they had to be ready to march 20 miles in a day, carrying all that weight and everything.
Yep.
It just, I mean, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really why the Roman army was so successful against many of its neighbors, is they were tribes that tended to be unorganized and tended not to have the military discipline that they have, and that's why Gaius Marius of his 58,000 defeated the force that was double his, was because of
Michael,
yeah.
I wonder, at West Point, I learned some time ago that uh, everyone that attends West Point takes engineering. And I wonder, given what you're saying about this, really it's an engineering feat,
Yep.
whether there was a special group that served in the military that were
Yep.
engineers.
Yes. In fact, if you look at those videos, you'll see the various groups. They were not just soldiers. You obviously had soldiers. You obviously had various leaders. They were broken out into tents, your tent mates, then the decurions, and then you had the centurion that was in charge of 100. And so there was a hierarchical structure there. But in addition to the military units, well, you also had cavalry that were often part of it. And you had slaves that took care of the cooking and the cleaning, so to speak, so the soldiers could do the soldiering. They had supply trains, they had cattle, they had beasts of burden. They did have an engineering unit, and that was very true of when Julius Caesar crossed the Rhine. I think it was the Rhine, no, the Rhine into Germany. And he did it by building a bridge, chopping long, tall uh, trees down, pine trees, and driving them as pylons into the water to support the bridge. That was all part of the engineering. And the soldiers would do the actual work, but the engineers would do the actual design. So yes, very much a part of the legion. And there are a lot of cases in a lot of Roman battles where the Romans were outnumbered and they managed to pull it off because of their superior discipline and tactics. So I imagine at West Point they studied some of the Roman tactics, I would think. Anyway, back
No,
to
right there. Unus passus est quinque pedes, ergo mille passus sunt quinque
there we
milia
go.
pedum. So there's your distance.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused about the mille passus sunt quinque milia pedum, that part.
This here? Well, okay.
Yeah, the second half of that
All
sentence.
right. Unus passus est quinque pedes. So one pace is 5 feet. Ergo mille passus sunt quinque milia pedum. So 1,000
Almost a
paces
mile.
are 5,000 feet,
Yeah, almost a mile.
which is about a mile.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. In castris Emilii 6 milia militum habitant. So in Emilius's camp, 6,000 soldiers live.
Good gosh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, these armies were even impressive by American or modern standards. So nulle. I don't know whether this next one is good news or bad news for you. Nulle feminae aut pueri illic habitant. No women or children were allowed there. Nec enim feminae puerique militare possunt, nor were women or children uh, were able to be in battle, or to be in, to be soldiers.
That means serve in the military. Militare means serve in the military.
Serve in the military. Thank you. I'm stumbling on both languages tonight. So actually, oh yeah. So circum castra fossa et valium lonium et altum est. So fossa, ditch. Valum is wall. So as I said, there's that wall, there's the ditch.
Wonder how high it was.
It was actually fairly high. That video will give you more dimensions. Also, it depended a bit on how let's see, what's the word I want? How close they are to hostile territory. They would indeed add to the fortifications if necessary in order to prevent or impede any attack on the camp. So, all right. So, oh, here we go. Marcus, speaking of the question, quam altum est valum castrorum, Julius? Prope decem pedes altum est,
Okay.
et duo milia passum longa. So 10 feet, roughly, is how high that wall was.
Roughly 2 miles.
And roughly, yeah, 2,000.
2,000 paces.
Yeah, oh, that's right. It's 500, isn't? Oh, that's right. So that's right. 1,000 paces is a mile. Sorry, I was getting my units messed up. So about 2 miles, yeah. Quatuor porte per valum in castra ducunt. Four entrances, exits, or doors. Porta celi. Que celi pandasos. Anyway. Inter duas portas est via lata, que castra in duas partes dividit. Ea via centum pedes lata est. And yes, there was typically a central road that divided the camp into two. While there were 4 gates, if you wish, there was a center road that divided the camp into 2 parts. And the reason and it was 100 feet, centum pedes. The reason it was so wide is when the army was on the march, they would line up by rank order, and I think it was 5 abreast. And so you needed that. You needed, again, see the video for some of those details. Let's see. All right, next section. Any volunteers?
I can take it.
Sure.
In bello porte castrorum claudatur. That means to close. Cloud.
Yeah, right. In
Okay.
war, the gates were closed.
Okay.
No surprise.
Okay, in war. Okay, I'm thinking
Yes,
every time I
yes.
see bellow, I think beautiful.
No. Oh, dear.
My brain runs
Yeah.
off in a whole different direction.
Yeah, see, once again, endings are everything.
Yes. Okay, so in bello porte castrorum claudantur, cum exercitus Germanorum castra opiniat. Once again, I thought that T was an R. Romani castra defendut, valum ascendit ac pila in Germanos iacunt. Ili atum nec pila in castra iacere passunt. quod face nimis lata, et valum nimis atum est, nec valum ascendere, quod Romani pilis et gladiis valum defendunt, hostes castrata nostra expugnare non possunt.
Any questions on what that means? Yeah. Basically, if you have a wall and a ditch, it's darn hard to successfully attack.
Certainly affects your momentum.
Yeah, well, yeah. And in fact, camps weren't usually attacked. Okay. And the times that they were, then the attackers attempted to seek, build quick bridges and other things in order to be able to get through the wall. Just standing there and shooting at the Romans was just not a great survival trait.
So I'm assuming they still built the quote moat, even if they didn't have water where they were camping.
Yeah, it is a ditch, so it may have had water or it may not have had. If there was a nearby river, then they would actually reroute part of the river's water in order to flood that moat. If I recall correctly, Julius Caesar did that when he in the Battle of Alesia. If I remember correctly, and a couple of other times. All right. But everybody understands what they're saying here, right? The Germans.
Quod fossa nimis lata. Can you help me with that?
Because the ditch.
Okay, ditch. Okay.
Nimis is greatly.
Right.
Wide. And the wall is greatly tall. Yeah, Nimis, let's see, did we?
Yeah, we've had it before. It means like exceedingly or.
Yeah, exceedingly, greatly. It's a magnifier, or I mean, it's intensifier. What? Yeah. So yeah, and also the wall.
It goes up. It's high.
Yeah, the wall ascends, and the Romans defend the wall with spears and swords. The enemy is not able to attack our camp. Castor Nostra.
I wonder
Hopefully
how
those aren't famous last words.
Yeah, you got to be a little careful about that. And they did have cases where a camp was overrun by the sheer number of attackers, like 100,000 or some number. I'd have to go back and see which war it was. It was just the
Did they
sheer
say
number.
how deep the fossa was?
He did not say how deep the fossa was. I don't, or did he? Let's see.
I didn't see it.
No, I did not see it. No, I did not see how deep it is, but it was pretty deep. I mean, up here is a pretty good example. The Valum is like what, 10 feet?
Mm-hmm.
And here's and they also tended to build up the level of the camp as well. So I mean, the fossa was pretty deep.
Well, they had to put all that dirt somewhere.
Yeah, well, also they usually picked a natural hill. I mean, they didn't go out of their way to make life difficult for themselves. So, all right. Let's see. I think we're here, right? Yes.
Behold.
Yes. Ecce porte aperiuntur atque equitatus noster in hostes impetum facit. Barbari perteriti, qui impetum equitatus sustenir non possunt, arma ad terram iaciunt atque in magnas silvas fugiunt. I think this is a little propaganda here.
Yeah, that sounds. I don't think I've ever heard of terrified barbarians before.
Yeah, yeah. Well, um, to a certain extent, this is true. I mean, you have to understand that,
Depends on the circumstances.
yeah, tribe, a tribe could be anywhere from a handful of people up to thousands. And so certainly the smaller tribes would just, say, hey, I'm not goofing with that. But obviously, when in the lost at Orazio, both camps were destroyed, and the Cimbri just way outnumbered the Roman soldiers. Now, had they gotten their acts together, and the two lead, and the second the proconsul followed the orders of the consul, they probably would have come out okay. But the fact that they didn't uh, cooperate with one another led to
Would
their
would
defeat.
would Bacit there be made the attack?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Ecce porte up. The gates are open, and our cavalry makes an attack on the enemy.
Okay. As facere has so many different meanings.
Yes. All right. Miles Romanus, qui hostem armatum accurrere videt, non ab eo fugit, sed armus se defendit. Milites Romani fortes sunt, miles fortes hostum non metuit, sed sine meto impetum in hostum facit. Emilius avunculus vester miles fortis est. I do recall like the modern army, who didn't take just anybody. The Romans were very particular about who signed up for their army. They had to be about 6 feet tall, roughly, six of their feet, and they had to be quite strong. And they worked very heavily to be able to be quite powerful, fortis, strong. So Roman soldiers, let's see, qui hostum armatum. Yeah, okay. And they do not flee from the enemy, but they defend themselves with their weapons. The Roman soldiers are strong. The strong
You've got it.
soldiers do not fear the enemy.
You've got it in the active voice now.
Yeah, but without fear, they make war upon the enemy or attack the enemy. Emilius avunculus vester miles fortis est. So he's playing up that, hey, Emilius is a strong guy. So anyway, we are running. Let's see. No, we're not going to make it all the way
Does
through.
Vester mean
Yes.
your uncle?
Yes. I thought we had that. I don't think that's new, this section, is it? Yeah, we've had that in the past.
Alex may not have been here the day that we had that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Noster, nostra, nostrum is our. Pater noster qui es in celis. Okay. Your is vester, vestra, vestrum, same thing.
Got
It's
it.
declined like a first, second declension adjective. Circum imperium Romanum multe sunt hostes. Castra et oppida nostra ab hostibus opanantur neque expunantur. Nam milites nostri provincias ac patriam nostrum a Germanus et a alis hostibus defundunt. So around the Roman Empire are many enemies. Boy, that's true. That was true. Our forts and towns,
We're
are,
being attacked by the
well,
hostiles.
yeah, sorry, yes, that's what I'm sorry, are attacked by enemies, but not overrun. Expugnantur is basically taken, conquered. Actually, let me double check that. Is that right? Expugno, Expugno. Conquered. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's the word I wanted. Okay. Whoops. Wrong slide. There. They are attacked by enemies, but they are not conquered.
So the neckquay there is but not.
Yeah, but not. Yes.
Okay.
Or and not.
Or and not.
You know, kind of style.
I think but not makes more sense.
But not probably makes more sense here. Yeah, yeah.
Now, why does that sound so funny to me?
I'm not going there. I suddenly realized that too, Teresa.
I just suddenly want to laugh. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what you get when you sit too long, right? Nam milites nostri provincias ac pastrium nostrum ad Germanis et ab aliis hostibus defundunt. So for our soldiers defend our provinces and our fatherland from the Germans and from other enemies. So Marcus, etiam Germanae suam patriam defundunt. Julius, sed patria nostra pulchior est quam illorum, atque Germani homines barbari sunt. Yes, our fatherland is prettier than theirs, or nicer, or more beautiful. Yeah, and the Germans are barbarians. Marcus, nonne forte sunt Germani? Julius, he at least admits it. Forte sunt ilii, sed Romani fortiores sunt.
More.
Yeah. Yes, and that's the other thing we introduce in the in this. Oops, I'll tell you what. Let me go back to the slides. I've been neglecting them. Oh, that's the wrong one. I need the other one. There we go. So yeah, we get introduced to the comparativus, which is the ER. We haven't had we'll get to the superlative. Most of the English adjectives follow this ER, EST pattern. There are irregular ones, same as in English, or same as in Latin, but their comparatives is IOR and IUS, okay? And that is true of first, second, third, or declension adjectives. What about fourth and fifth? This is a question for you guys.
There aren't any in fourth and fifth, right?
There aren't any. Correct. There are no fourth and fifth degree adjectives. They are only nouns. In fact, while we're on that subject, let's see, let me find them. Yes, okay. Declinatio quarta et quinta. All right, we finally get the US ending nouns like spiritus. If you remember, Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto. So there's the UI ending. Nouns are usually masculine in the fourth declension, but there are a few feminine ones. Domus, home, And there are only 6 neuters. Genus, which is knee, is neuter. Fifth declension nouns are the opposite. They're usually feminine. There is dies, which is sort of an oddball masculine noun because sometimes it was masculine, sometimes it was feminine. In ecclesiastical Latin, we usually make it feminine. And there
So,
are no fourth or fifth declension
so,
adjectives.
so the one Roman couldn't say to the other, "My home's bigger than your home."
Yes, you could. Because bigger, it would be big, manus. Bigger is major.
And that would be, but that adjective would have third declension endings. It wouldn't
Yes.
have the fourth declension endings, even though the noun is a fourth declension noun.
Correct. Well, the ending on the adjective does not necessarily have to match the ending on the noun.
Right.
For example, pater is third declension. And if I wanted to say my father is big, manus pater. Well, manus is second declension, pater is third. So you don't swap. You have to have them in the same gender, number, and case, but you don't steal endings across declensions. Am I making sense?
Mm-hmm.
So domus mea, my home, est magna, is big. Domus meus est major.
Major.
My home is bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by the way, home in English usually refers to the building. Domus is more the people inside. So yes, but yes, it would be domus mea because domus is feminine, right? And you could say major, bigger, or paucior, smaller. So not a problem. So there are no fourth or fifth declension adjectives, but that doesn't mean that you can't use an adjective for a fourth or fifth declension noun. I guess
Okay. All right.
that's
I
really what it
misunderstood what
means.
you said earlier.
Yeah, no. These are the common fourth declension feminine nouns. As I said, domus, idus, manus, hand, tribus, oh yeah, porticus, colonnade. Whoop, there are the only fourth declension neuter nouns. These are the only ones: cornu, genu, ni, gelu, frost, pecu, veru, and specus.
The
So,
Idus of March.
pardon?
The Idum of March. Would it be Idus or Idum of March?
Idus.
Okay, because it says
Because,
Idum,
well, all right. Yeah, hold on. See the little line there?
right?
That's plural. Idus is
Is this one
already
of those
plural.
nouns that's always plural,
It's
like
always
scissors and
plural. There is no
yeah?
singular version of idus. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding your question.
No, I'm just wondering what the right word was. That's all.
So idus, yeah, is plural. And
So you would say Idus of
this
March.
is, pardon?
You would say Idus of March.
Yes,
You're finally catching on to what I'm talking about.
yes,
It has something to do with Julius Caesar, if I
yes, it
remember.
does. Yeah, and we'll get to the calendar, by the way. I think that's 13. I forget. It's coming up. 15. I forget which. So anyway, we're running out of time. I would like to point out to you that things you have, I hope, learned. You've got all 5 declensions with all 6 cases: nominative, accusative, genitive, dative, ablative, and vocative. So you've got all the way to form all of the nouns. Verbs, you have present, active, and passive voice verbs for all conjugations. We only have third person singular and plural so far. Imperatives and infinitives. You've got adjectives, all three declension, comparatives. So really what we need next, and it'll be coming up shortly, are first and second person and then the tenses.
I think
And
that's supposed to be comparative,
pardon?
imperative. Yeah, Lord got it.
Yeah, and then the superlative, yeah, it'd be
No,
the
no.
Typo.
You need
Typo.
It needs an
oh,
R.
oh, competitive. Oh, good grief. There we go. I'm glad to see Alex is able to
well, Laura deserves credit here. She spelled it faster than I could say it.
oh, I see. I see. Whoops. And dyslexic typing. Okay. Now, one thing, oh, before you guys go, one thing I wanted to do is let me close this up. And actually, I ran a little bit over from what I wanted to get done today, but that's okay. Let's see here. Tomorrow is the feast of, whoops, that's not the one I want. Oh, there it is. The Litany of the Sacred Heart. So you should be able to follow most of this, not all of it, because there will be some words that you are not familiar with. But just looking down here, let's start at the top. Cor Jesu, Filii Patris Aeterni,
Eternal Son of the
or
Father.
Heart of Jesus, Eternal Son of the Father. And if you get stuck, you have the English. So, Cor Jesu, Verbo Dei, substantialiter unitum. All right, this one's probably a mouthful.
You know, the
But
one up above,
Word of God substantially unite, Heart of Jesus substantially united to the Word of God.
up above, Michael,
Mm-hmm.
Cor Jesu Filii Patris Aeterni, you
Mm-hmm.
put Son of the Eternal Father. It's Eternal Son of the Father, isn't it? Off to the right, your translation.
Um,
Well, no, because that's eternity is the genitive.
yeah, it's
And patris is
well,
also the genitive.
yeah. Hmm, Son of.
I guess the real question is why it says Fili. Oh, that's an
Well,
irregular.
it
That would
is
be
Son of the
why.
Father. Okay, it is Son of the Father, but it really ought to be Son of the sorry, um, Eternal Son of the Father. I'll have to double check that.
Well, that's the way we normally refer to it as the Eternal
Yeah,
Son.
no, I think that's a typo on my part.
Okay.
I think you're right. Because apotris is genitive.
Right.
No, wait a minute. Cor Jesu. Hold on, let me get this. The fathers. Hmm. You know what? I'm gonna have to double check I got that right. Anyway, why is Jesu rather than Jesus the fourth declension genitive? Okay, the reason is Jesu is not fourth declension. Jesu is its own animal. It's
Oh,
irregular.
I see. Okay, thank you.
And so you need to go to, I think, let's see if he did. Yeah, here it is. And, oh, wait a minute. There. Uh, whoops. Why did it find it? That's weird. Oh, there we go. Oh, it doesn't show you the declension. Oh, man. Okay. What a bummer. I think I had that on an earlier chart. If not, I will add it. It is declined irregularly. It's not fourth declension. And also, oh, by the way, also, before I forget, never mind. I was going to say something wrong. No, it's irregular. All right, let's finish up here. I will mute everybody and we will get to the final. Oh, before I forget. All right, we will really finish the third section next time.
Really quick question. Were we supposed to do all the exercises for class today?
Yeah, for today, all of them, no, but you should be doing, as we complete a section, like the first section, then you should do the exercises. As we complete the second section, you should do the exercise. If you find more, now it is certainly better or more, it's certainly a good thing to read the section, do the exercises, and then come to the class on that section. That works.
Okay. So for next week, I should have the ones for 1, 2, and 3 all done.
Ideally, yes.
Okay. I'll go catch up on that then.
Ideally, and I'm way behind on grading. So part of the problem is as I mentioned last time, and why I was gone is I was moving my mother-in-law into assisted living, and we had a lot to deal with. My father-in-law passed away about a year ago, last November. So he was my mother-in-law is a dear soul, but she's chaos personified. He was really the one that kept things running, kept the accounts, et cetera, et cetera. And my mother-in-law is also dealing with memory issues, which made it also hard. And anyway, she did not want to move out of the apartment that she had shared with my father-in-law for, I don't know what, 10 years, I guess, which I don't blame her. But with her poor memory, she really needed to be put under assisted care. For example, she had let's see, what did she get? She had an infection of some sort. Bronchitis? I've forgotten now. Anyway, they gave her an antibiotic, take one capsule twice a day. Well, she couldn't remember whether she took her medicine or not, so she took the entire dose in the space of a day or two. And this was like a 10-day course of medicine. So fortunately, it didn't it didn't kill her. But it was things like that. And so my wife was doing a lot to try and manage her. My mother-in-law lives in Needham, which is near Boston, Massachusetts. And so scheduling doctor's appointments and all sorts of stuff. Long distance was a real drain on her and a drain on me as well. So hopefully that's done and I can begin to devote the time I need for those lessons. If you'll note, I started getting behind in March, which is when things got really out of hand. So yes, section 3, and we'll probably also go into the fourth section, the Grammatica, and see how far we get through that. So anyway, with that, let's finish up. Oratio finalis. In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum. Adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitibus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Amen. And so that is the end of the